yeah, man. This is Between Hook Sets. I'm Jason Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the fishing crew.
You're going to have transition to ice fishing hook sets there, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be an ice fishing hook set pretty quick, but we're not hook setting tonight, man.
Oh, say what?
We're not hook setting tonight.
No, as a matter of fact, I'm set for tonight. Look at this stuff.
There you go. With the guy we have on, I don't know if you're going to want to wear that.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. Hey, by the way, I'm going to pop this up because there was a little controversy on the South Dakota Big Bucks Facebook page, and I just want to stick it to the keyboard warrior that was stupid enough to say stupid. So this guy is Dusty Swanson. He's been paralyzed since he was 17 years old, and somebody must have called the post stupid because we got this from the South Dakota Big Bucks almost a day ago.
Yeah, I saw that post.
Isn't that something? I mean, I just don't understand. There's so many people out there that just absolutely think they know more than everybody else, and they've always got to get in the last word. Well, I think they got in the last word, and that's all well and good and fantastic. But gosh, I'm glad they stuck it to him, and a lot of people stuck up for Dusty and for South Dakota Big Bucks, and it's a big deal. And if it weren't for South Dakota Big Bucks, I wouldn't heard about Wacey's buck. I wouldn't have seen it. I was waiting for it because they were tempting us for like a week to 10 days, something like that.
Yeah, we had the monster alert and all this stuff.
And I'm just kind of going crazy. Like, okay, where's this thing? Let me see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. And then we started talking about guests, and you said, "How about Wacey Kirkpatrick and that buck?" I'm like, "Yes."
The thing is excuse me. I gotta see a video of this thing on the hoof before, like a week before he shot it. And I'm like, whoa, that's nice. And thanks to Travis Stout for getting him lined up for the show through his brother-in-law Chase. But yeah, and it was like they tempted us so long. A buddy of mine's like, yeah, I heard there's a big one shot out by Rob Flats by my grandpa's place. And then boom, we got the Wacey Kirkpatrick buck. So we'll bring Wacey in. How are we doing tonight, buddy?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing great. Are them some sheds off in behind up there on the mantle?
No, those are off some other deer that we picked sheds up off, but I do have the sheds laying here if you want to.
Oh, hey, we're gonna have to. Did you bring your rack? I brought mine too. I mean,
Oh, we're gonna have a big buck contest already.
There you go.
Okay, well.
Oh, you won.
Right. Where's your big buck at? Come on.
Mine are all in the house, and they wouldn't even. Yeah, look at that thing. Wow. One side of that, an eighth of that rack makes yours look small, Jason.
Okay, so Wacey, first of all, rodeo family at all? Because Wacey is a rodeo first name, right?
So no and yes. My family just we ranch, grew up ranching down by Hayes, and just ranched, and done some horse stuff and some ranch rodeos, some things like that, but I was named after a bull rider, and that I am not. and when I showed my wife Jamie, when I showed her a picture of my namesake, Wacey Cathy, and of course he's missing 2 front teeth and black eye and everything, and she went, "Holy cow!" I think she thought twice about marrying me, so it's a good thing we
funny.
Decided to not at that point.
That's awesome. Okay, so now we've seen the rack. Now go through the numbers because it is pretty astronomical.
Okay. So he is a 7x14. And two of my friends, Tanner Prince and Jim Larson, they stuck a tape on him. They know that stuff better than me, but they come up around 215 gross score. And I know it doesn't matter for the score, but outside spread was 30.5 inches. So,
wow.
One base is 7 inches. The other one is like 6 7/8. So,
wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
So this ain't just a big deer. This is a pretty cool story. So I got a little preview of it, but so you go through the story of, I mean, you hadn't hunted in 11 years or something like that. Go through the whole story leading up to shooting this deer, because not only did you shoot a monster, but this is the first deer you shot on your new property.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, I grew up. I've kind of been a mule deer fanatic my entire life. You know, we had mule deer at home on my parents' ranch, and I always wanted to shoot big deer, and was always kind of looking to find the next big one. You know, and shot a few nice deer over the years. You know, but just, you know, the last 10, 11, yeah, I guess the last deer I shot was in 2013, and so just been busy with life, just raising kids and ranching, and we moved here in 2020, and was able to purchase this property from the previous owner in the end of 2021, and as part of that purchase, he kept a hunting right on it. But our kids, they get to hunt when they get old enough, as part of the agreement. And he, you know, I was visiting with him. I said, you know, I'd kind of like to start taking my boy hunting. He's pretty excited about some of the deer around here, you know. And of course, we picked up sheds and things like that. And of course, picked up 2 years worth of sheds off this deer, and watched him. I mean, there was times we'd look out the window of the house and he'd be right out here a couple hundred yards from the house with some does hanging out in the wintertime. And so it was kind of fun to watch him grow, you know, and you know, there was several neighbors that had chances at him the last couple of years and either just held off or just wasn't quite right, you know, and so we knew he would grow, you know, because we knew he had some potential, and I hadn't seen him yet this year until about 10 days before we shot him. My boy and I were actually out with the bow looking for another deer that we had seen, and my boy, he was getting kind of cold, and he says, "Dad, can we head back to the house?" I said, "Yeah, we hadn't been out too long, but the wind was blowing, it was chilly." And so we're walking back to the pickup, and I said, "Hey," I said, "I'm gonna glass down this draw real quick." You can tell he was like, "Let's go, Dad, I'm tired of this." And I started glassing, and I could see this buck walking behind a tree a half a mile off. And I could see the stickers, and I knew right away what deer it was. And I told my boy, I said, "We got to go look at that deer." So we went around, and on the way, my daughter, she hopped in with us, and she's like, "Where are we going?" I said, "We're going to look at a big deer." And so we got out, and we snuck down a draw and popped over a hill. And of course, trying to sneak up on a deer with two 7-year-olds is challenging. I will just say that at times, but they did good. We crawled in there 100 yards or so, and we were 300 yards from him, so we weren't going to pressure him a whole lot. But got in there and got a look at him, and I went, "Whoa, this deer grew way more than what I expected. He's way bigger than I thought." And so then, of course, that was on a Sunday, so the kids had school the next couple of days, and so a good friend of mine, we went out and went with the bow, and he run my rangefinder for me, and we snuck in there and found him, and the closest we could get was 80 yards from him, and just couldn't get any closer with the other deer, and I didn't want to blow him out of there, so we just kind of let him sit, and then rifle season opened, and my boy, he was all excited, you know, and sometimes he can be a little hard to get out of bed, but that morning he popped out of bed early. He was ready to roll, so we went out.
Boots were on when he went to bed and ready to go.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said boots were on when he went to bed, ready for bed, and he was up before you.
pretty much, yeah. And
That is not leaving me today.
Yeah. So we got dressed and we went out, and you know, way before daylight, and went up on the four-wheeler and parked way up north of where we had seen this deer, and tried to get the wind right, you know, and it started getting light, and he was snuggled into me because he was cold, and I was cold too. The wind was cold that morning, and so it finally got daylight, and we could see some deer down where we had seen him before, but I couldn't tell, you know, what was what. We were far enough away, and finally I said, we gotta get to hiking. I said, we need to get down there closer and see if he's in there, and so we snuck down a draw and bumped into some deer, and so we had to back out and kind of go around, and finally got in there where we had seen him a few days before, when we were hunting with the bow, and sat down on a ridge, and we no more than sat down, and he walked over the hill and just stood there just like he was king of the hill. And I told my boy Rhodey, I said, there he is, bud. But I said, the wind blowing the way it is, we were probably 300, 350 yards. I said, I want to get closer. I said, I don't want to chance this. So we snuck down a draw and got behind some cedar trees and got in a little closer. And he was chasing a doe around. And then there was a little buck pestering him. He was running him all over the country. And finally he come out at about 150 yards. And my boy, he's ready. You ready, Dad? I'm like, yeah, I got him. And so kind of waited for him to stop and took the shot and knew I hit him pretty good, but he took off running a little ways, and I thought, well, man, maybe my shot wasn't as good as I thought. About that time he turned, and I could see blood, and then he started wobbling. And of course, he was on a pretty steep hill, and he finally went down, and then he rolled way down into the bottom of a draw. So
of course,
we had a pretty good dragging him out of there. But, oh my boy, he was shaking. He was excited. And, Dad, let's go get him. Let's go get him. Let's go see him. I said, we got to wait. Let's let him sit for a bit, And so we sat there. Of course, the other deer, they were milling around us, and we had some bucks come right by us within 20 yards. And so that was a pretty neat experience after we shot this one. And so we finally went down there. And of course, the first thing that my boy says when we get down to him, he says, Dad, I thought he was going to be bigger. I sit there going, buddy, this is a pretty big deer.
They buddy, get ready for disappointment your whole life. That's why you have to that one. Like, get ready. They all have ground shrinkage.
Right. We do have a little footage of your buck, and is it the smaller buck? Here's the deal: if one is your buck and the other one's a smaller buck, I want to hunt where you're hunting because that thing, both of them are fine.
Yeah. So he would have been the back buck, the bigger buck in that picture, and that would have been the last year. So, and that's actually these sheds.
Sweet.
I mean,
so one is Donner and one is Blitzen.
Yeah.
I mean, even those sheds are nice, but I mean, that thing did absolutely blow up over a year's time.
He did.
Yeah, that thing blew up over a year's time. And was it in the same draw that you found it bow hunting?
Yes, he was actually same. So where we sat the few days before with the bow, where he came over the ridge, he would have been 20 yards from where I was sitting that did that the few days before. So he was right there, but he, honestly, he kind of called that area home. He lived right there last year for quite a bit of the winter. And then we finally kicked some cattle into that pasture and pushed him out, and he went on to some neighbors' fields and then went into some of our other pastures. And so we kind of watched him and I finally figured he lost his shed, so the kids and I we went shed hunting, and we found his sheds. Actually, last year's sheds we found within 20 yards of each other, but the previous year's sheds from 2 years ago, I found them about 3/4 of a mile apart.
Oh wow!
Oh,
you're lucky to find those then.
So yeah, here's 2 years ago.
That is amazing. I'm going to pop up the pictures here real quick. So you've got 1 year ago, 2 years ago.
Correct.
And then we go down. I think I'll right here. No, I've already showed that one enough. Let's see what this, there we go. Yeah. So this one really shows the separation of the 7x14. It is truly crazy. I've been putting out game cams for the last 2 years. Last year's bucks are a lot bigger than they were last year. This year must have been fantastic for nutrition, whatever it happened to be. But It's amazing how quickly they blow up. Now, nothing like yours. Did you name this buck? Does it have a name?
Well, so 2 years ago, the smallest set of sheds I have off of him, we were calling him Scar at that point because he had a scar right below his eye. And so that's kind of, which, I mean, he was pretty easy to pick out with the little stickers and everything, but we kind of called him Scar at that point. But it's kind of hard to name your food. So, we
Yeah,
try not
when
to
you live
name
on the
him.
farm.
And then, of course, my buddy Tanner, when he was with me hunting with the bow that day, we were joking around. Well, we had bumped another buck going in there that morning. That was a pretty nice deer. And he kind of looked at me. He's like, "What's that deer? That's a big deer." And I was like, "Oh, that one's not. That's just bigger. That's not the biggest one." And so we were joking around all day while we were sitting there, you know, because we couldn't get any closer to him and whatnot. So we were joking around, and we started calling him Pop-Tart for a while. And so he never really had a name. So.
I love it. Okay, you were talking about feeding cattle, so obviously they made their way into the feed yard, or at least into the hay yard there. And let me zoom in a little bit. I'll pop up just one more. I'll go because I like this shot. This is a great shot. And obviously, you took this with your camera, or your phone, right? Cell phone,
and it's through the tractor window. So if it's blurry, that's why.
Yeah. You know what? I'll take it. It's pretty nice. He's got a beautiful body. He's a gorgeous deer.
So, you know, going back to him being in the same draw, and that's his draw, you know, that's, you know, they're typically they'll hang out in a draw, but I mean, this was right around peak rut, you know, like when, you know, the rut was really going pretty hard, you know, last weekend or the weekend before really kind of kicked off. And it's amazing because, you know, over in east where I deer hunt and stuff, you'll see a deer one day and you'll see him 3 miles away the next day chasing doe, same deer. Yeah. So, I mean, pretty incredible for it to hold that draw. And obviously, like you said, there's other deer in that draw, but I mean, they get on a hot doe and they're going to go wherever the heck they want. So,
yeah. Yep. And he, you know, every time I saw him, he was you know, within that week when I first seen him or whatever, before we shot him, he was always chasing a doe. So he was working.
Good. There's some more genetics out there.
Yeah.
So he's a natural.
We might have to wait 6 or 8 years, but maybe.
Hey, about the time your boy's going to draw his first buck tag.
That's my hope. I hope my kids show me up. I hope they can look at me in 6 or 8 years and say, "Ha, Dad, you shot the Bambi."
I'm 30-pointer and a naturally bred and born buck. Yeah. This was not one that came from captivity.
Yep.
You know, and I'll be honest with you, like I just started deer hunting, you know, within the last 8 years of my life, shot a couple little bucks, nothing great, but I'm big time waterfall hunter, done all that. I will tell you the most memorable hunt of my life is when my daughter shot her first doe.
Yeah.
Like I will remember that hunt more than any other hunt I've done. That moment we took the boat out, we went across the river, couple buddies, we got on it. We saw one, we got on it. She was 11 years old. I think it was a year before she could actually shoot a buck. And we got her on it with that mentor tag. And I was always telling myself, nothing over 100 yards, nothing over 100 yards. And my buddy's like, she's got this. And we sat there forever. And the doe was bedded and it stood up. And Ben Doty was with us, and he's like, it's going to stand up and you're going to shoot it. Well, it stood up and instantly walked down the hill. Yeah. And we're like, crap. Like, but here, all of a sudden, here come Mama down the hill. That was just one of the babies. And it's gotten to the spot, and she dropped it like 200 and some yards and double lunged it. It was just, I tell her it was a perfect shot. It went between two ribs and came out between two ribs. I'm like, you drilled it. There's no way to hit it better because you didn't even bust a bone when you hit the thing. Fell over in its spot, and Ben looks at her and goes, "Did you hear it go thud?" And she couldn't even answer. I go, Yep, I did. Yep. And then she started crying. I started crying. Ben started crying. Like, she was so excited. And then we had to drag it down in the last about 70 yards. She's like, I got it. She drug it by herself to the boat. It was a pretty cool thing. And like I said, that's the most memorable hunt. Now, I've never shot a monster like you. I've never had, my kids with me to shoot a big deer like that, but I'm guessing this one and then your kids' ones are going to be some of the most memorable hunts you ever do. At least that's my experience.
Yep. quite honestly, I mean, I don't know as I deserve this deer. I mean, but God gave him to us, and we want to share him. But being able to have my boy with me, and the story, one of my kids found one shed last year, and the other one found the other shed, and it's just been kind of a fun story. The thing I told my wife, I said, the sad part about it, when we had first seen this deer, and I'm like, we got to go after this deer. And I told my wife, I said, the sad part about it is if we kill him, we're never going to get to watch him out there again. He's been fun to watch the last 3 years. So that's kind of the sad part is he ain't going to be out there when I go out in the pasture anymore. But hopefully he'll have some kids running around out there. So
I would think so.
The thing about that is you got, other deer to watch. Your boy's going to start watching deer, and you were out there bow hunting it with Tanner, which is awesome. But I think the story's that much better that you had your boy with you.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you got it, it's probably just meant to be that you weren't getting that day with Tanner. You were going to get close enough to see it, but you weren't going to get it till your boy was beside you.
And I had a conversation with my boy, because he had school, and I said, hey, this is the only day I have this week to go because I had some cattle work to take care of the rest of the week before rifle season opened. I said, we need to go try to get him with the bow. I said, you've got school and you got tests and all that kind of stuff. And he said, that's okay, Dad. You just go see if you can get him. That's fine. And if not, we'll go on Saturday with the rifle. And so, we tried, but didn't just push it trying to get him, because I did want to have my boy with me because he was pretty excited about it. And it was fun to share it with him.
I'm sure you probably had to tie Tanner back a little bit. If once he saw it, you probably had to tie him down because he was probably ready to belly crawl and dig a culvert and dig under the ground to get to it, knowing Tanner.
We did quite a bit of crawling and quite a bit of strategizing, and finally, we sat on him all day long, and we kept discussing. Well, maybe if we go here, maybe if we go there, and finally later in the day, it's like, you know what? Let's not push it. Let's just leave him be. He's being a deer and doing his thing, and we'll just leave him at that. So yeah.
What a great, like I said, that's what makes this deer. It's a gorgeous deer. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a big buck. Like you told me, there's bigger out there. I've seen bigger, whatever, but I don't think, the stories are all unique, but the story of this one, just to be with your boy, finding your kids, finding the sheds, watch them grow up on your new place, like it was meant to be. And that's pretty awesome. And pretty awesome of the guy you bought the land from to say, go for it. You know. Now, did you send him the pictures and you went, okay, you're done?
I called him right away after we got him, and I told him, I said, we shot a pretty good deer. And he said, send me some pictures. I want to see them. And so I sent him pictures. He was pretty happy for us, and we're pretty thankful for the opportunity. It was a lifetime memory. So
yeah, forever.
So you're in that wildlife every day because that's what you do is you ranch out there and run cattle. And so, you're seeing deer every day. So you had to have you had a pretty good judge on it to go. Cause like I said, that one trail cam photo of it following another one, I would have been, I'd have been probably after the big one, but I'd have settled for the front one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, we're kind of guessing he was 6-7 years old, but when he first showed up, I took them pictures that first year, and of course Tanner and me and my friend Jim, we kind of analyzed him, and we thought maybe he's 3 or 4, somewhere in there, but we're like, man, he's got potential. Let's see if he can make it through, and just by chance he made it through. And last year it's like, well, he's good, but he had a weak front fork last year on the one side, and it's like, well, let's see what he does next year. I never dreamed he would do what he did this year. So
it's amazing. So did you actually count the difference in points from the last two to, well, I guess we can kind of do it here. You've got, well, maybe you can't do it there.
So the first year, the first set of sheds, he was basically an 8x6.
Okay.
And then, so that would have been, that the bottom set of sheds, he was an 8x6. He had 2 points down by his brow tine in addition to the sticker, and which actually the one sticker isn't quite an inch long, but I called him an 8x6. And then last year he was just a straight 7x7. He grew the double stickers on each side and lost the points down by his brow tines.
Yeah, it's interesting how it really changed dramatically. And I'm sorry, I may have had that picture up and you were showing the actual rack there. So
I was looking down at him. So.
Okay. Well, and that it's probably easier to look at those than it was the picture, because the picture is pretty small for you on that cell phone. But yeah, isn't it something how much that right side of that deer changed in a year?
Yep. You know, and this is I'm looking at it right side, left side. I guess you're opposite, but this side, you know, that was the 7-point side. He didn't gain a lot. He gained some mass and a little length, you know, but didn't gain a lot. I mean, he's a neat deer on that side, but this other side, it just exploded. So, and it was kind of interesting, you know, from year to year, the sets of sheds, how, you know, one side was a little stronger, and then the next year the other side was stronger.
So, okay, so I'm just, did you guys see that bubble of the thumbs down?
Yeah, it must be a YouTube thing.
Really?
So I don't know. I've never seen that before, but
I'm betting I might have about 3 friends that are just waiting to make some smart aleck comments.
No comments have come in yet.
I guarantee.
Other than my buddy Dustin, and we're not going to talk about that, Dustin. Sorry, that was an inside joke, and that was not. I'm not showing that in public, bud.
That is.
But yeah, you got, you know, and I was just gonna say before that comment or that bubble came in, it's gonna say something for your beef growing out there, because you know how to grow genetics, obviously. So that beef must be pretty good off your ranch too.
Well, we've got cattle, and we actually do have a herd of buffalo. So if you guys are looking for a buffalo hunt, we've got some buffalo hunt.
Oh, you're my man. We were at the Bassmaster Classic last year in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Matt Robinson, I don't know, you probably don't follow him, but he's a bass fisherman, and he come on the stage with a buffalo skin jacket, and he's just a wild man. And he's like, and they were giving him hell on stage and said, "Is that real?" He goes, "God, no, I wish it was. I tried to get Jason Christie to take me out, and he said it wasn't season." He goes, "I prefer to poach it anyways. Let's crawl over a fence." So we happened to run into him, and I said, "Dude, if you want to go shoot a buffalo, like, I can find you a place to go shoot a buffalo." I said, "It's not going to be free, but I can find you a place to shoot a buffalo." And he's like, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah." So I gave him my card. We go out to dinner that night, run into him again. He's like, "Were you serious about that?" And I said, "Absolutely. Just let me know if you want to shoot a buffalo." Well, now I know who I'm calling. I don't think he understands what kind of hunt a buffalo hunt is. Yeah. He's a crazy boy from Kentucky. He's redneck as it gets from Kentucky, but
yeah, he'd probably hunt that buffalo in his whitey tighties too.
But he's like, "I want to shoot a buffalo," and I'm like, I guarantee you I can make that happen somewhere in South Dakota. So yeah, it could be a deal. I might be calling you up if he ever calls me to shoot a buffalo, and be like, "All right, let's do it."
Yeah.
So, I mean, what a great story, Wacey. Like, and you know, it was crazy because the other night when I was talking about who we're having on, I just all week long, like ever since you shot it, everybody's like, "You see the Wacey buck? You see the Wacey buck? You see the Wacey buck?" You know, that's just kind of been the thing that everybody keeps talking about. And then I called Travis Stout and I said, "You don't happen to have Wacey's number, do you?" And he goes, "Nope, but Chase does." And I said, "Perfect." And so I want to give it, you know, thanks for them connecting. And he calls me back, goes, "I sent him your number. Chase said to text him because he screens his calls."
Oh, I've got good neighbors. They run pretty good protection.
I said, he goes, you better text him. You'll probably screen his call. So that's why I sent you the text the other night. And I was pretty thrilled to wake up to the text message of that you're in on it. And I got a hold of Jason right away and said, we are good to go with Wacey and to hear this great story. And, you know, what a great deer. Congratulations. I mean, but now what? Now what? Now you got, you know, are you going to hunt again next year, hopefully, or is it just going to kind of wait till the kids are, until you see another big one grow up out there?
Well, quite honestly, I really wasn't hunting for a big deer. I just wanted to take my boy and get a deer, you know, give him that experience. Because really, since he's been born, I hadn't hunted since you know, they've been born. And so I thought, you know, we need to start doing this. He ain't getting any younger, and so really we weren't looking for a big deer. We were just going to look for a deer to make a memory, and I guess this one showed up.
You made the memory. You made the memory. So after he said he thought it was bigger, I mean, you said he was shaking during it. What is like? Does he want to take it to show and tell yet? Like, I mean, is it?
Yeah, he hasn't taken it to show and tell, but yeah, he thinks it's pretty neat. Both the kids think it's pretty neat. So yeah,
I guess they probably both want to mentor hunt now, because now what you can be 6 months old and mentor hunt now. They took that designation away now.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that until right after we shot this deer and we were visiting around. I had several friends came up. Actually, they helped me drag this deer up out of that draw and down through the creek and up another big hill. So I owe them guys a big thank you for helping me drag him out. But it was a great day. You know, we got to share with friends, and I like my friend Jim. He says, you know, today, he texted me later that night. He says, today reminded me the way hunting's supposed to be. A bunch of friends sharing great memories, you know. And it was a great day. And yeah.
That's 100%. Like, I was out with my buddy Chad Keel, and we were out with our bows, and he stuck one, and he come back, and he goes, I'm sorry, I shot one. I wish you were there. And I said, I don't care. I'm along for the story. Like, if it was meant to be for me, it was meant to be for me. It was meant to be for you, dude. And we couldn't find it that night. We went back the next day and we found it. And he's like, thanks for coming out and helping me. You know, we were in the river bottom, so we had to walk. I think it was 3 mile walk to where we were at. And we found it and packed it out, and, you know, or 3 miles round trip, I guess. And we packed it out, and he's like, thank you. And I'm like, dude, that was just as much fun as shooting one. Yeah. Like, to me, that was just to be there helping a buddy. You know, we were after that exact. I mean, we saw that deer. He asked me if I wanted to shoot it. I said yes. We snuck down. He ended up going around to try to get his wind to blow it to me. Thought it was a different deer, shot it. Then when we found it the next day, he realized it was the same deer, and he felt really bad. I'm like, don't feel bad, dude. Like, don't feel bad at all. That's not what this is. 100%. This is about, you know, the experience with a buddy. And I'd love taking people hunting. It's, like I said, ever since my daughter, it's really been kind of one of those things that I actually enjoy it more. Yeah. You know, seeing the excitement on them than me getting something. You know, it's that's kind of where I'm at. And now, granted, if I got a big one like you standing in front of me, I might shove my buddy over to shoot it, but I don't. I'm not that nice, but
I would push back.
Yeah, I don't know where it goes from here. I mean, we're gonna hunt, but I'm not. You know, I've shot enough decent deer in my life. It's not like I need to always have the biggest one. It's just fun to be out in nature and God's creation and be, you know, in amongst these creatures. They're pretty neat. It's been, like I said, the saddest part about this is that he ain't walking around out there anymore.
Well, and being out there every day and seeing him probably not every day, but quite often, it's like you raised it, right? I mean, it's like you said, you're getting to watch it, and
you kind of develop an attachment to him, which, like I said before, you shouldn't name your food, but
Jake said, "Tell Wacey it's pretty easy to grow big deer when you get more rain than the rest of your neighbors."
Don't listen to that guy.
You're
That's
charmed,
like
right?
spam or something. Just block that guy. He did not.
They're coming, right? You know, you said they were going to get comments.
If we get into that conversation, we'll be here till 3:00.
But, yeah, I mean that's the best part of it is just hearing, you know, and you could have been out there on a solo hunt or seen it in your tractor and got out, but it wouldn't be the same. Like
No.
that's
It would.
you know, and I don't think from what we're hearing tonight, I can't imagine that's what you would have wanted to even do if it was there. You might have even passed, like been like, well, that's not what this hunt was about, you know. So yeah.
Okay, so do us a huge favor because I noticed that our viewership changed a little bit, you know, as the evening went on here. So go through the numbers again. It was a gross 215 and give us everything so those that joined late can catch up on the size.
Yeah, so he's a 7x14. He grossed about 215 is kind of what we measured him at, and that's not official or anything, but gross 215 outside spread, which I know that doesn't count for score, but 30.5 inches. So.
You gonna take him to the Black Hills Big Buck contest?
Oh, I've had some friends telling me I need to take him out there, so we'll probably go out there. My son's never experienced that, and I never have, so we'll probably take him out there.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
cherry on top.
You know it's a big buck when South Dakota Big Bucks changes their cover photo to your picture.
Right on.
Well, I don't deserve that, but the deer does. You know, he's worthy of being. You know, I was like I told my wife. I said we could just keep him a secret and not tell anybody, but he's just too cool of a deer not to share with everybody else. So and not trying to brag about him either, but it's fun to see big deer. So
yeah, it really is. It is, and then for you to have the respect for the deer that you had. I mean, you didn't go blow it out. You took your time, you let it be a buck, you let it be a deer, you let it do what it was doing, and you took it when the time was right for you. You didn't I mean, you just did it right. And I admire that. That's awesome.
Yeah, only thing get done more traditional is muzzleloader hunt that bad boy.
Yeah.
Well, man, what a deer. What a deer! What a great story! It's been. Thank you for coming on. When I called Jason, and I said, "Or let's get Wacey on." He goes, "Oh, I'm sure he's been on a couple podcasts. I'm sure he's got hit up for this." And then I asked you, like, "I've never been on a podcast before," and I kind of asked Travis. I said, "Do you know him at all?" He goes, "Well, just a little bit, but Chase knows him." And I'm like, just kind of getting a little, we try to like get a preload of how the people are, because you get some people on, you got to drag a conversation out of them. When you called me and I called Jason and I said, it's going to be an easy one. We talked for 16 minutes and it was like nothing. So I'm like, we're good. We don't even have to really worry about this one. This one will carry itself.
Yeah.
So
it was easy.
I had some friends ask me, well, what are you going to say? I'm going to say, well, I went and shot a deer. End of story. Any questions?
And honestly, we talk, and with this podcast, we've had all kinds of fishermen on. We've had both state records on.
Oh, wow.
Everything has its story, but a lot of times you get a deer and it's just that. Yeah, I went and shot a deer. Yeah. And it was really the deer stands on its own for the size, but the story was what really drew us to asking you to be on the show. It was a family hunt. Yeah. I mean, your photos you released were with you and your kids and your wife, and that photo of you looking at it, like you're in pure happiness right there. I mean, which how could you not be? But getting to know you tonight, that was because your family was with you.
Yeah,
it was
my close friends.
Yeah, your family and your close friends were there. Was Tanner there doing all the standing on his head, taking the photos, or was he like, I'm after my deer?
Guilty as charged.
I can see Tanner bringing out lights to put up, and like, we got to get the sun right. It's like hanging out with Benny Spies. You got to take 400 photos of an 18-inch perch or an 8-inch perch.
We got all done, and he was showing me the pictures. I was like, geez, you could have made him look a little bigger in there. You made him look small. I had to tease him a little. And my boy would have been in more of the pictures, but he had to be as part of his 4-H club. They were helping serve at a deal here at the local hall, the Curly Hall, and so he had to get to that. And by the time we got him drug out of there, they were about done. So we got one picture with him, but he was still pretty excited about it.
Are you going to get him into the junior shooters when he's old enough? I mean, he's got to be getting around the age where he can start shooting the BB guns.
No, we might have to do that. He puts a hurting on the Tweety birds around here with his BB gun.
Okay.
So.
8? Is it? They have to be 8, and he's 6, right?
He's 7, right?
7. Okay, so I think they started 8. So
that Pure Junior Shooters Club, our Delta Waterfall, we've been a huge supporter of that club since our chapter started. It's kind of one of our first places we donate money. And you want to talk about passionate people, the guys that come out every year. Completely drawing a blank on his name right now, and if you're watching, I'm sorry. I can see your face, I can see your name on my phone, I just can't think of it. But he'll come out every year, and we're like, you don't have to come out, we're going to give you money. And he's like, nope. And he comes out and he's got a book and he just goes through, and it's like a 20-minute ordeal telling us how the kids did, what tournaments they won, where they went, all these different things. I mean, so proud of those kids, and they are a force to reckon with. And if your boy's already BB gun forced out, I wish I would have had something like that when I was a kid, because I'd be a lot better shot right now. Yeah. So, well, what a great story, Wacey. It's been great to get to know you. Thank you for coming on, taking time away from your family on Christmas Eve, Turkey Eve.
My family, my wife and kids, they're gone. We run some cattle down south of Chamberlain also, and they run down there this afternoon. So they're down there, but they're tuned in watching. So I rode Riata.
So, how many head do you run?
Too many sometimes, and not enough at other times.
I used to sell pole frame buildings, and I asked the guy one time how many head he sold, or how many head he had, and I go, how many head do you run? And he goes, well, that depends on the time of year. He goes, he goes, not enough when it comes to selling, too many when it comes to calving, and just right the rest of the year.
Yep.
I'm like, that's the best statement I've ever heard.
Yeah, we have a cow-calf operation, and then we also run some yearling cattle on grass here during the summer. So that's kind of what keeps us busy.
But a family operation, your parents do it too, and
yep. And my kids, I'm surprised I haven't got a comment about this, because I get enough grief about it the rest of the year. But my kids have a little band of hair sheep here, and they think that's great, and I take all the flack for that one. So
well, so then you are aware of the fact that we've got some super cold weather coming. I don't think it's going to be as cold as we've been used to, but it is going to start getting colder. And obviously when it starts to get cold like that, daily gain just drops.
There's Tanner coming in with a sheep comment.
I was waiting for it. Somebody was going to say it. I was waiting for it. Hopefully the rest of them keep their comments to themselves.
Tanner had to push the bush lights to the side to get the keys to type that in. So, well, fantastic. Hey, buddy, it's been great having you on. It's been great getting to know you. Look forward to hopefully someday we're still doing this and your boy shoots a big one and we get him on.
That'd be great. Well, thank you guys. I sure appreciate it. It's been an honor. So thank you. Keep up.
All right. Wacey, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah, same to you guys.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Oh, yeah, man.